This $180 screenless fish finder is one of the best cheap fish finders I've ever used. But today I'm out here to test if it's any good for small boats and kayak fishing. The Garmin Striker Cast GPS was designed as a cheap alternative for bank and kayak anglers. Garmin claims the easy to read sonar shows exactly where the fish are. The built-in GPS lets you draw your own quick draw 1-foot contours, so you get custom maps. And you can get out and stay out on the water with 10 hours of battery life. So today we're gonna take it out on my paddleboard kayak hybrid and test these Garmin claims and the following customer reviews. Dino J Ram says, absolute genius. No mounting, battery, or wiring. Because you can cast it out, you can see what is in your casting area rather than just what's under your kayak, unlike a conventional fish finder. Second review we're gonna test. Army 11B. Works great for my kayak and fishing from the shore. I like that it powers off by itself when I want to save battery life. And lastly, Hito Bella. I have one, used it for float tube fishing and once on the ocean in a kayak. It's good to see depth and water temp, but not great for actual fish locating. If the water is rough, it gets worse. All right, so let's go get on the water and test these claims. So first, let's get it connected to my phone. To connect it to the phone, all you have to do is drop it in the water. I've got a hole right here at my feet, which is why I chose this kayak, and we're connected already, just like that. I love it. Simple enough. When you first connect it, you are gonna have to like set up an account and everything, but for the most part, it's not a big deal. Garmin claims the sonar is easy to read and shows you exactly where the fish are. Well, since we're at my pond, I know where the fish should be. So I'm gonna take it to some areas and see if we can't find some fish. I've got a couple poles back behind me that I might just have to grab and see if we can't catch some fish. Easy to read sonar. What a goober. Didn't take this off at the bank. So as we can see on the screen, it isn't hard to read. That's because it is just a very basic sonar. So we're just looking at like a traditional chirp sonar, which is great for finding depth and a little bit of structure. But if you're gonna be like seriously tournament fishing, I don't see this finding you a lot of fish. It's great to learn on, and that's about it. That was a rock. Thought we might have had a bite. It was just one of them rock fish. Not a real rockfish, a rock. So as far as Garmin's first claim goes, it's easy to read, super basic sonar. So it's not gonna be super difficult to read. Now, is it great for finding fish? I don't personally think so. I think it's better for helping you find the water temperature and the water depth, and then a little bit of structure. And in those instances, that's when you find the fish, knowing what structure to be around at and at what depth to look for them at. So I'd give it a rating of about 80% on Garmin's claim here. So starting off with a B ain't too bad. Claim number 2 is about making your own custom maps. This is what I'm most excited about. And to test this, I'm just gonna paddle around my pond and make a map of my pond. Okay, started. All right, let's get off of the bank. And let's just paddle around. So as we can see from my phone recording, it is just marking and picking up areas all around where I've paddled in my pond so far. Now, how accurate these are, I have yet to determine. It really seems to be picking up a broad area too, which I'm kind of impressed with. Alrighty, so we've covered pretty much all of the pond, and let's see where we're at. Honestly, from what I know about the pond, this is pretty close, within 6 inches to a foot. So Google's claim to make 1-foot contours, spot on, 100%. So we've got a B on one claim and an A on the other. Now for claim 3, get out for 10 hours. I'm not gonna be out here for 10 hours. I'd look like a red lobster. Plus I've got other places to go. But I will say I've probably used it for a total of 2 hours combined, 2 or 3 hours since the last charge. And it's still got 3 out of 4 bars. So I would say that 10-hour range is probably pretty close to what you should expect. 8 to 10 hours would be my guess. I would say for this one, it's another A. So now we know what the heck Garmin claims and that they were pretty honest about what it can do. But what about these customer reviews? So the first review from Dino J Ram was about not having to wire anything, not having to bring an extra battery. All you gotta do is have this unit and have a phone and connect it to it. And he's spot on, that's it. I don't have to worry about bringing another big bulky battery or even wiring. So that means not only can I use it in this paddleboard, but I can just pick it up and take it to my next kayak and my other kayak. So no matter what kayak I'm in, I can use it there. And that's a huge benefit over my other traditional fish finders. You can also cast it away from your kayak into your casting area to see what you're casting at. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that because the splash will tend to scare off fish that you're targeting. But if you want to do that, have at it, because you can tie it to another rod, or it comes with about a 15-foot cord. The second review from Army 11B, and they talked about how great it works from their kayak and from the shore. I agree 100%, but their main point was that it powers on and off by itself to save battery. And as someone who uses a ton of gear while fishing for filming and just my regular fishing stuff, I can say this is a huge benefit because I can just pick it up out of the water and it shuts off within a few minutes. I'm not worried about it just running out of battery. And our last review from Hito Bella says, I have one, used it for a float tube fishing and once on the ocean in a kayak. I don't have the ocean to go test it in. I'm in Oklahoma, so it's kind of hard to test from the ocean here, but I have used it in the lake and on my pond, and it's done great so far. To continue on with this review, it says, it's good to see depth and water temp, but not great for actual fish locating. If the water is rough, it does get worse. And I would say, once again, they're spot on with this review. I've noticed on a calm day like today, there's a little bit of a gentle wind. It works flawlessly. But when you start to get in those rockers and stuff, that transducer gets to bouncing back and forth and doesn't give you real accurate readings of anything. So it can be frustrating on windy days or if there's just big rolling waves. All right, now it's time for my review. I would say the pros and cons are this. Starting with the pros. It's super compact and lightweight. Nobody mentioned that in the reviews that I really checked out, but you kind of expect that. It fits in the palm of my hand. And so if you're really limited on space, like in a kayak or a small boat, or from the bank and you're just got a backpack, it is incredible. The no wiring and the no extra battery needed is spectacular. Again, if you're in a kayak, if you're in a small boat, you don't want to bring a big heavy battery, then hey, you don't have to. You've got this little unit and you're good to go. And the last pro is the mapping. I absolutely love the mapping feature because I've used maps to find places to fish that I never would have thought. So having the ability to go paddle around a place and find the different depth changes and structures allows me to really hone in on the area that I think should be holding fish, which then allows me to focus on the best fishing spots. But there are some cons. It's not perfect. And the first is the sonar. It's okay, but this is the sonar that my grandpa grew up using in the 80s and the 90s while he was fishing. So it's not spectacular. Don't expect it to be live scope quality. It's also not great in rough water, like I mentioned. So if you fish big bodies of water that have big rollers a lot, or it's really windy, like in Oklahoma, it's usually pretty windy here. We got lucky today. It might not be a great option. The camera got hot because it is hot and humid out here in an Oklahoma summer. So the final con that I wanted to mention before the camera died was that this thing is useless if your phone dies, because your phone is the screen. So that means it's important to always keep a small battery backup of your phone or some way to charge it. I like to fish a lot of remote areas, and I always like to have a full charge on my phone, or at least a way to charge my phone in case I get into some kind of trouble. And as a content creator, I'm always using my phone to take videos, to take pictures. So I'm already using a lot of battery. And on top of that, this is just draining it that much faster. So who the heck is this fish finder for? I would say it's for kayak anglers and bank anglers, absolutely hands down. If you're looking for a super simple, easy to use fish finder, the Garmin Striker Cast is it. But if you're a more serious angler, you're gonna be disappointed by this. This is no match for like my Garmin Echo Map, for example. There are many other better, more expensive options out on the market. And if you are considering those better options like LiveScope, check out this video right here where I explain how I DIY'd a LiveScope mount onto my kayak. And I can't wait to see you there.